I want to show you some of my favorite arpeggios, and we're going to talk about learning those arpeggios and how to play them, or where to play them, over what chords and whatnot. Arpeggios are great because you get a really good sound out of them because you're basically outlining the chord shape. An arpeggio is basically the notes in a given chord playing one at a time instead of all at once. Like a G major arpeggio or G major triad is the notes of a G major chord, the root, the third, and the fifth. The G, right? The D, and the B. So technically, if you play an arpeggio, a G major arpeggio, see, the notes are played one at a time, not as a chord. And you can outline those chords with these arpeggios. So I really like arpeggios, and I really like to throw them into my soloing. So I'm going to show you some real basic ones, and then in future modules, there'll be some more advanced ones. But you want to get started with the basics. And the trick that I've found with arpeggios is you want to be able to grab them fast. So you want to be able to know where they're at. So we're going to learn a bunch with the root note for the arpeggio, either with your first finger or your pinky on maybe the 6th string or the 5th string, and maybe we'll do one or two on the 4th string. So I'll show you some basic ones that you can blast over lots of chords, right, and have fun with them, and they're going to be easy to grab. So remember, all you're doing is you're outlining a chord shape. So for a major triad or major arpeggio, you're playing the root, the third, and the fifth. And I'll show you a couple of them, but you want to eventually learn each one over the entire neck to be able to play them in every position, right? So let's do the ones that are easy to find quickly. And then once you get the hang of this, you'll just find them all over. So like, let's just take your basic major arpeggio or major triad, G. We'll do a G major arpeggio. I like this one where you put your pinky on the G note on the 5th string. So this is a 5th string root, any major key you want to play this arpeggio, we're going to do it in G, just put your pinky on the root. Pinky on G, and then here's the shape. Now, by the way, all these arpeggios are listed in the booklet that comes along with these modules. So download that and learn these arpeggios. So you're playing the root, the G, third, which is my B note, and then the 5th, the D note, root, third, 5th. Then just repeat it, root, third, 5th. So you got G, B, D, G, B, D. And that's your basic major arpeggio. Nice one to sweep. Like sweeping that one, right? There's your G major triad up top. So you have lots of licks off of that major triad. So that's your first arpeggio, G major or major arpeggio. Now if I wanted to play that in A, just put your pinky on the A and play the same shape. Root, third, 5th, root, third, 5th. Play it in E. D. Right? And you always have that nice major triad up at the top of that. That's in D, okay? So that's the major triad, the first one, major arpeggio. And you want to find that everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like G. There it is down here, right? My B, my G. And then there's my D. Okay. You could play that over a major chord or a major 7, major 9. They all have that root, third, 5th in them, so they're very, very useful. The next one off of that would be the minor arpeggio. And remember, a minor chord, instead of a root, a third, and a 5th, is a root, flat, third, and 5th. So we have to take the second note, the third, and flat it and play the shape. So let's go back to G. And it's again, pinky on the G, root, flat, third. Now in the key of G, your flat third, you're no longer going to be playing a B, you're going to be playing a B flat. G minor has a B flat in it, right? So you're going to go root, flat third, 5th, root, flat third. You got to go outside, a stretch now. Right? Root, flat third, 5th, root, flat third, 5th. There's my flat third. G, B flat, D, G, B flat, D. And that's your minor arpeggio. That's in G. You want to play it in A. Just move your pinky up to A and play the same shape. Play it in D. Right? And flat third. And making it minor. G. And there's your minor triad. G, B flat, D. So there's a nice minor arpeggio. Okay, so let's now expand these. Let's do let's take a major arpeggio and make it into a major seventh arpeggio. Okay, so you take the major arpeggio, and we have to add, if you want to play a major seventh arpeggio, which sounds great over major seventh chords, is you have to add the seventh, because remember your formula for a major seventh chord is a root, third, fifth, seventh, right? So we have to add the seventh note in the scale to our, if you want to do it in G, again, you can find this one with your pinky on the G. Root, third, fifth, seventh, right? There's our major seven. That sounds really pretty over G major seventh chord, right? Get that nice movement right there in the seventh and the root. And that's a G major seventh arpeggio. Now a lot of these arpeggios, if you can get a tight shot on my first finger, a lot of these arpeggios, you're going to have to roll, what I call roll your finger a little bit, because you don't want the notes in the arpeggios to sound like this. You don't want them to be all ringing out at once. You're playing one note at a time. So the way I do it when I'm playing notes on adjacent string on the same fret is I kind of roll the finger where I release pressure, where here I'm playing, see, in G major 7th, you got to play your D note, and then you got to get this 7th in there. You got to get that F sharp. So I roll the finger, so I kind of release pressure off the top of it, right? So I roll that up and down. That's going to come in very handy when we get into later, like where we're sweeping arpeggios, because you're going to have to really roll those finger when you're sweeping. You got to really roll that finger. So for now, practice that little finger roll, okay? And that's your major 7th arpeggio. If you want to play it in A, just change to the root note. See, these are so easy because you can grab them quickly because you know where your root is. Right? And there's it in D. These sound great over major 7th chords. And you can also play major 7th arpeggios in other ways. You could, if you're in a major key and you play over the 5 chord, the 5th, and you can blow that major 7th arpeggio over a major 7th chord. And I'll show you different ways of doing that, where you don't necessarily always have to just play the major 7 over the root all the time. Or whatever arpeggio, you can kind of mix them around a little bit. And it's a very cool sound because you get some outside notes, right? So let me show you another fingering for the major 7th arpeggio that I like a lot. Let's do this one. Now that one you know with a pinky root. How about a major 7th with a first string root? So let's play like a D major 7th. To grab the root note with your first finger. I really like that one a lot. Notice again, we're in the key of D. I got to roll that finger to get those two notes to sound off. Okay, that's a really nice one. That's in the key of D. If I wanted to play that arpeggio in G, I would move it up to the G with my first finger, right? Remember, you got to go to that major 3rd, so you got to stretch a little bit on this one. There it is, nice and slow in the key of G, right? And key of C. It's a nice major 7th arpeggio. Sounds great over major 7th chords, right? Okay, so now you know how to do a major arpeggio with your pinky root, a minor arpeggio with your pinky root, a major 7th arpeggio with your pinky root, major 7th arpeggio with a first finger root. And these roots are on the A string, okay?